Well, this week, Governor Doug Ducey signed into law the flat tax. So this tax plan gets rid of Arizona's 4 state income tax tiers, replacing them over time with a flat 2.5% tax rate for most payers, regardless of income level. Democrats say it is a tax cut for the wealthy, but Republicans argue it'll boost the economy and keep Arizona's tax rates competitive. So what does this mean for you, and how is this going to impact you in the future? We want to bring in Tom Wheelwright. He joins us this morning to help break it all down. He is a CPA and the author of Tax-Free Wealth. Good morning. Thanks for being with us, especially on a holiday.
Good morning, Kylie. Great to be here.
So let's explain what we've got in place now, a quick recap, and what's going to be in place over time.
So without this legislation, we would actually have had 5 rates this year, going all the way up to 8% because of Prop 208. And eventually, over the next 3 years, it'll come down to 2 rates, 2.5% and 4.5%.
So the progressive structure that we have had, that is common in most states. It looks like the flat tax is in a handful of states, but it is definitely not the most common tax rate that states see. Explain the pros and the cons with this.
Well, for example, if the IRS, we have graduated rates, meaning that the more you make, the more money you pay in taxes, the higher the rate. The same is true in some states, though a lot of our neighboring states actually have a flat tax. So this is not that uncommon, and it's a nice thing to see, frankly, because it does make us, it keeps us competitive, where otherwise with Prop 208, we would have been one of the highest tax states in the West.
So let's talk about how this impacts people. If you are maybe on the lower end, you're making $30,000, $40,000 a year, are you really going to save much at the end of the day?
Well, you'll save a little, but the reality is right now you're paying a pretty low tax anyway. You're at about 2.6%. So eventually you'll go from 2.6 down to 2.5. It is the higher rates as you get up over $50,000, $60,000 in income that you're going to start seeing the bigger savings.
So let's say a family of 4, they make about $100,000 a year. What's their impact going to be?
You know, so they're a family of 4 making, they're about a 4% rate. So they're going to go from 4% to 2.5%. So that's, if you think about it, that's really a 60% reduction. And that's a pretty sizable reduction in tax.
And those wealthy in Arizona, they are going to get the biggest tax break with this over the 3 years. Is that correct?
Well, yes and no. Okay, so without Prop 208, they would actually end up getting no tax break because they are already at a 4.5%. And all this does is prevent them from going to the 8% under Prop 208. So it doesn't actually cut them from where they are currently. It just prevents them from having to pay extra under Prop 208.
And then lastly, we've got a few seconds left. This isn't going to happen overnight. It's a phased-in plan over the next few years.
It is, and it phases in based on the budget. So it's actually a really nice plan policy-wise, because if we don't meet our budget, then we don't reduce the taxes. So it is tied together with the budget. If we continue to do well, if the tax cuts work and bring more tax revenue into Arizona, then we will see the tax cuts. If not, we won't see the tax cuts.
Tom Wheelwright joining us this morning, giving us his thoughts and perspective on obviously that big news this week on that flat tax. Thanks for joining us this morning, and have a safe and festive 4th of July.
Thank you.
Well, teaching an unsold